Hello students, myself is Parminder Singh from Prab Kripa classes. Our today's topic is tips for improving presentation skills. After going through this course on presentation skills, the students will learn how to effectively communicate information to an audience in a professional and engaging manner. The students will learn how to use body language and voice effectively. The students will learn that by use of proper eye contact, proper gestures, and proper facial expressions, we can communicate effectively with our audience. The students will also learn how to engage with our audience with storytelling and language in presentation. Students can learn that with the help of stories, anecdotes, humor, and examples, we can engage our audience and give our presentation in a very proper manner. The students will also learn time management. The students will learn that they should be able to complete their presentation in the time which has been allotted to them, and if there is any distraction or shortage of time due to any reason in giving the presentation, they should be able to focus only on the relevant points. Next point is that the students will be able that how to handle anxiety and nervousness during the presentation. They will When they will learn the techniques how to handle anxiety and nervousness, then they can give their presentation in a proper manner. The students will also learn that how to handle and question and answer sessions. There may be circumstances during the presentation that some people may ask you some wrong questions or irrelevant questions. Then by going through this course, the students will be able to learn how to handle such a situation when the audience tries to distract from your presentation, and you are to revert back on the presentation. Then the students will learn how to deal with hecklers and negative feedback during presentation. It is okay that sometimes there is negative feedback and it adversely affects your mindset, but you should not take the negative feedback personally, and you should focus on your presentation. Then how to prepare potential distractions during presentation. Sometimes there are distractions during presentation, and you will have to do practice in advance how to deal with similar type of distractions when you are actually giving your presentation. Then the students will also learn that they will have to make the practice of how to deliver presentation. They can make the practice with their family members or friends, or they can make the practice of presentation before the mirror. They can ask feedback from their family members, friends, or from their instructor, and on the basis of the feedback they can revise their presentation. The students will also learn that what are those points which they should keep in mind while giving the presentation, and what are those points which should be on the focus of the presentation. The students will also learn what type of visuals they should use in their presentation. Now our topic is tips for improving presentation skills. we will discuss here some of the tips which will help us in improving our presentation skills. The first is define your objectives, define your purpose and objectives. Second tip is understand your audience. And the third is manage time. Fourth tip is adaptability. Fifth is use body language and voice effectively. Next is engaging your audience with storytelling and language. Seventh is dealing with hecklers and negative feedback. Eighth tip is handling difficult questions and challenges from your audience. Next is structure your presentation. 10th is selecting the right visuals for your presentation. 11th is overcoming nervousness and anxiety while giving the presentation. And the 12th is practice delivering presentation. And the 13th tip is identify the areas which require improvement and developing an action plan accordingly. Now we will discuss each of these tips one by one. First is define your purpose and objective of the presentation. Before you start creating your presentation, you should be very much clear in your mind as to what is the purpose of your presentation and what are those objectives which you want to achieve with your presentation. If you define the purpose and objectives of presentation, this will help you to stay focused and ensure that your presentation is relevant to your audience. Next tip is understand your audience. When we are creating a presentation, we should understand our audience needs, interests, and the preferences of the audiences. This will help us to tailor our message to the expectations of the audience, and we will be in a position to engage our audience effectively. Next tip is manage time. We should be very much careful in regard to the utilization of time. We should be mindful of the clock and make sure that you have enough time to cover all the points you want to make or discuss in your presentation. If you have to cut the conversation short, do so in a polite and professional manner. Next tip for effective presentation is adaptability. While giving a presentation, there may be some unexpected situations which the presenter may have to encounter with, such as there may be some technical difficulties or there may be some audience interruption when we are giving our presentation. So the presenter should be in a position to adapt to the unexpected situations. Next tip is use body language and voice effectively. While giving the presentation, we should use our body language to show that we are confident. We should stand tall, make eye contact, and use gestures to emphasize our points. Make sure that the gestures are consistent with our message. We should use facial expressions to convey emotion and emphasize the key points. We should smile wherever appropriate. We should speak clearly and slowly. If we speak too quickly or too quietly, then the audience will not be in a position to understand what we want to convey them. Use movement to engage your audience and emphasize your points. While giving the presentation, we should vary our tone and pace. We should use a faster pace and higher pitch for exciting or emotional moments. And while giving the presentation, we should use a slower pace and a lower pitch for more serious moments. Next tip is engaging audience with storytelling and language in presentation. We should use stories and anecdotes to illustrate our points and make our presentation more memorable. We should use humor to help break the ice and lighten the mood. Humor can help you to connect with your audience and make your presentation more enjoyable. Use humor that is appropriate to the topic and the audience. Third tip to engage your audience is use simple language. If we use complex language or the technical terms, the audience will not be in a position to understand what you are saying. So, we should use simple and concise language that is easy to follow. Further, to engage our audience, we should seek feedback from the audience. Requesting feedback or using interactive elements like polls, quizzes can help us you in engaging audience. You might have seen that when there is a program running live on television, they usually put before you some quizzes that when the India became independent and there are four options and they are they are asking the audience to give the reply, and the person who will give the correct reply will be shown, his name will be shown on the television. This is the type of the marketing plan that they want to attract or keep the audience engaged so that the maximum public can view their program. So in the same way, when we are giving a presentation to our audience, we can give them certain options or ask for certain polls that what should be done in the particular circumstances, and we can ask for certain questions from them. Then handle questions and challenges effectively. Listen carefully to what the audience is saying, and we should restate the question and we should give the answer to the audience concisely and accurately. If as a presenter we do not know the answer, be honest and offer to follow up later. Next point is use examples and case studies to illustrate your points and make them more understandable. Seventh tip to engage our audience is use active voice and not passive voice. use of active voice makes your message more clear and direct. Next, use rhetorical questions to engage your audience and encourage them to think about your message. A question asked in order to make a point rather than to get an answer. Mostly it is asked to make a persuasive point. The example of a rhetorical question is, have you ever wondered why some companies consistently outperform their competitors in the marketplace even in difficult times? The purpose of this question is not to seek any reply from the audience, but to make a point that the audience thinks about this question in their mind and they will be engaged in the presentation with you. Next point is use analogies to help your audience understand your message to a deeper level. That is a comparison between one thing and another thing, typically for the purpose of explanation or clarification. For example, marketing is like fishing. You need the right bait to attract the right fish, and you need to be patient and persistent to catch them. In marketing, the bait is your messaging, and your target audience is the fish you are trying to reach. Now, the topic before us is how to deal with hecklers and negative feedback. And the second topic which we will touch is handling difficult questions and challenges from your audience. Now, first we will look into how to deal with hecklers and negative feedback. First, we will understand the meaning of heckler. Heckler is someone who interrupts a speech or performance by shouting out comments, criticism, often in a rude or aggressive manner. So it is a person who wants or who interrupts the speech or the performance. So how to deal with such a person during presentation? Dealing with hecklers and negative feedback can be a challenging situation for any presenter or speaker. In case of negative feedback or hecklers, the presenter should take a deep breath, pause for a moment, and then respond to it calmly and respectfully. If appropriate, the presenter should use humor to diffuse the situation and lighten the mood. Next is, don't take negative feedback personally. That is, we should treat it lightly, or we can think over the feedback at a later stage to improve our performance if such is the case. Acknowledge the comment or question and steer the conversation back to your main topic. When we are dealing with hecklers or negative opportunity, if we handle such a situation meticulously, then that is an opportunity to showcase your professionalism, composure, and expertise as a speaker. That is, if we are able to handle that situation properly, we will be in a position to showcase our ability as a proper presenter or a proper speaker. Now, the question before us is how to handle difficult questions and challenges from our audience during the presentation. Next point, now the answer is be prepared. When we are to give presentation, before that we should anticipate the likely questions or the challenges that may arise during the presentation, and we should be prepared with responses that are accurate, relevant and concise. If the situation arises that we do not have the answer to the question which has been put forward by the audience, we should be honest and we should give the offer to follow up later. Next tip to handle the difficult question is active listening. We should listen carefully to the entire question before responding. If we give response to the audience before listening to him completely, it is quite likely that we may give wrong answer or we may give the answer which is not according to the situation, even though we know the complete answer. We should repeat the question or we should ask clarifying questions. It will show that you respect the perspective of the audience and you are interested in addressing the concern of the audience. Next is staying calm. If an audience member challenges your presentation and disagrees with your viewpoint, remain calm and composed. We should not become argumentative with the audience. We should respond to the audience in a respectful and professional manner, and we should not take the challenge personally. Next is we should provide evidence and examples to support our response. Fifth is stay focused. Sometimes the audience members may try to derail your presentation because there are circumstances that some of the persons do not want that you are in a position to give your representation properly. They will ask you unrelated questions or they will make comments. Stay focused on the topic which is before you, and you should redirect the conversation back to the presentation. Next point is acknowledge different perspectives and opinions, even if do not agree with them. Suppose you think that you are 100% correct what you are speaking during the presentation, and you know that the other person from the audience is knowingly asking wrong questions, but you should acknowledge the perspective of the audience or his opinion. It will show that you are an open minded and can see different sides of an issue, because during the presentation being argumentative will not serve any purpose. You have to handle the situation in a tactful manner. Seventh point is thanking the audience. We should thank the audience for their questions and challenges. This shows that you value their participation and input which they have given during the presentation. Now the topic before us is structure your presentation. Now we will discuss what should be the structure of our presentation. First is we should start with a strong opening. When we begin our presentation, it should be with an attention grabbing statement, or we should start our presentation with a question that will attract our audience towards our presentation and make them interested in our topic. We can also start with a relevant quote, a story, or a surprising statistic. Next point is we should use a consistent design throughout our presentation. If we use a consistent design throughout our presentation, it will give a cohesive look. That is, it will look appropriate. If we use different fonts, suppose we are making a presentation on slides and we are using different types of colors and different fonts on different slides, it will not give the nice look. We should use the same font, color scheme and layout for all of our visuals. Next point is use visual aids effectively. Visual aids such as charts, graphs and images help us to explain our points and make our presentation more engaging. Next point is use transitions. What is the meaning of transitions? Transitions mean the words like to begin with, secondly, furthermore, as a result, therefore, etc. These are all the examples of transitions. We should use transitions between different sections of our presentation as they help us to connect different ideas and topics together in a smooth and logical way. When we are discussing a topic during a presentation and we are now to start discussing the second point, in that case we can use the transition, secondly, furthermore, therefore, such type. Next is end with a strong closing. We should end our closing with a strong statement that summarizes our main points and leaves our audience with something to think about. Next point is use of presentation tools. In our presentation, we can use presentation tools such as PowerPoint. It will help us in delivering a powerful and engaging presentation. Now the topic before us is practice delivering presentation. Delivering presentation can be a daunting task for many people. It means that delivering a presentation can be a very difficult thing for some people. But with practice, any person can improve his presentation skills and feel more confident in front of the audience. Here are some of the steps which you can take so that you can improve your presentation skills, or you can do the practice how to deliver presentation. First is record yourself. When you record yourself while delivering your presentation, you will come to know What are those areas where you need improvement? For the purpose of recording your presentation, you can use your smartphone or camera. When you are yourself viewing yourself on mobile phone or on computer, you will naturally find that there are certain areas which require some improvement, and by making improvement or by practicing again and again, you will become confident in your knowledge of the topic, but at the same time you should maintain an eye contact. Next point is practice in front of a mirror. When you do practice in front of the mirror, it will improve your body language. You can also improve your facial expression and gestures. Next is you can do the practice of your presentation with your friend, colleague, or your family member who can provide you the feedback on your presentation, and you can refine your delivery. Next point is ask for feedback. You can also ask your instructor to give you feedback on your presentation. The feedback may be related to your posture or your eye contact or facial expression, movement, tone of voice, pacing, clarity, confidence, or engagement with the audience. Fifth point is write down the feedback you receive and find out the areas where you can do some improvement. Use feedback to improve. Improve your presentation on the basis of the feedback you have received, and you should make practice again. This cycle of feedback and improvement will certainly improve your presentation skills, and it will also build confidence in you that you can give your presentation in a very confident manner before the audience. Seventh point is always thank the person who provided feedback. Gratitude is essential in building relationships and keeping the feedback loop open. Next point is prepare for potential distractions. You should remember that when you are giving presentation, certain distractions might come there, which may be in the form of some voices from the audience or some distraction from the outside environment in the form of vehicle noise or etc. You should practice delivering your presentation in a distracting environment, such as a noisy coffee shop or a crowded room. By doing so, you will learn how to stay focused and give your presentation even in a challenging situation. You can also review your past presentations and identify the areas where you could have improved, such as content, delivery, or visuals. By following the steps which we have discussed, you can build your confidence, improve your delivery skills, and become a more effective presenter. Remember that practice makes a man perfect. So, the more you practice, the better you will become at delivering presentation. Now the topic before us is selecting the right visuals for presentation. First point is, if you are presenting data, charts or graphs may be more effective than images. It means that suppose you are giving a presentation to the prospective investors to invest in your startup, then you will provide them data in respect of your future sales or the profits which you are expecting to earn in future. So in that case, you for presenting your data, charts and graphs may be more effective than images. Next point is, consider your audience. If you are to give your presentation before the younger audience, then you should choose the visuals which are dynamic. If on the other side, older audience is your to listen, or the aim of your presentation is older audience, then you should prefer choosing more traditional visuals. Next point is, we should use high quality visuals. If we use low quality visuals, then the images will not be proper, or the graphics may appear blurred. Fourth point is, we should use relevant visuals which give value to our presentation. If we use irrelevant visuals, they may distract or confuse our audience. Fifth point is, avoid using too many visuals. If we use too many visuals, it can distract our audience from our message. Next point is, use the same font, color scheme and layout for all of our visuals. Seventh point is, use a different color or font size to draw the attention to important text or data. That is, we are to highlight the important text or data, and for that purpose we can use different color or different font size. It means that the font size may be bigger. Next point is, use appropriate font size. Make sure your fonts are large enough to be read easily by your audience. Use a font size of at least 24 points for text and 36 points for headings. Next point is, avoid using too much text. Avoid using long sentences in your presentation. Use bullet points or short phrases instead. Now the topic before us is overcoming nervousness and anxiety during presentation. Many people experience nervousness and anxiety when they are giving presentation. Now we will discuss some of the tips to overcome the nervousness and anxiety when we are giving the presentation. First point is, prepare thoroughly. We should practice our presentation several times beforehand, and we should make sure that we know our material well. Next point is, visualize success. We should imagine that we are giving a successful presentation and the audience is very happy with our presentation, and the audience is giving a very positive feedback to our presentation. If we have such type of imagination or visualization in our mind, we will feel more confident and calm, and we will be in a position to give a better presentation. Next point is focus on your message and not on your nervousness. While giving the presentation, we should keep in mind the purpose of the presentation. Next point is use relaxation techniques. Before giving the presentation, we should practice deep breathing, meditation, or other relaxation techniques to help calm our nerves. Next point is use positive self talk. If we think that I cannot do something, I will not be in a position to perform better or give proper presentation, we are likely to fail while delivering the presentation, and the it will prove to be total disastrous as a presenter. So we should use positive affirmation and self talk. It will help in building our confidence and reduce our anxiety. We should tell ourselves that we are well prepared, we can do something, we can give the presentation in a very better manner, and then you will be in a position to give a successful presentation. Next point is embrace imperfection. Remember that it is okay to make mistakes. Only by making mistakes we can, at the end, we can give a better presentation. By making practice time and again, we will learn what, where we have done something imperfect, and we can make the changes accordingly, and one day we will become a successful presenter. So do not fear of failure. You should think that you can give a presentation properly, and only then you can give your presentation in a very confident manner. Now we will like to conclude this course with the saying that we should be very confident while delivering a presentation. While giving the presentation, we can ask questions from the audience to keep them engaged. We can also seek feedback from them. We should use visual aids which are relevant and which are proper as per the topic which on which we are giving the presentation. We should also keep in mind that the non-verbal communication also plays an important role in presentation. So we should use our body language properly in our presentation. We should not use complex language in case of presentation, and we should use simple language as far as possible, so that the audience is in a position to understand what you are saying to them. And we should vary our tone as per the situation, and we should always think positive that we can deliver a presentation properly. If you like our video, please like, share and subscribe our channel. Thank you.